What's up guys, welcome back to another video. It's Aleksi here. So in this video I want to talk about God and kind of like when peace finally takes over is when you stop striving in your life. If you'd like to check out the truth, first link, Walk with God course, second link, donations and one-on-ones if you want to talk with me on private in the description. So when you stop striving finally and you kind of like stop forcing stuff, that's when that real peace from God comes in. When you kind of surrender to God finally and submit to his orchestrations, and you don't fight everything that's going on around you or that's coming your way, and you accept things. Like when he closed the door, you accept it. That's when you feel peaceful and you don't fight it. And even if you don't expect something, right, to come your way, what you do is like you're able to accept these scenarios, even if it sometimes feels like hardship or something like that. You're able to accept these scenarios, and when you're able to accept these scenarios, that's when that real peace from God actually comes in. And you know, this is actually the thing that kind of God is looking to make in you, is this like unshakable peace. It's like it doesn't matter what he orchestrates or what storm comes your way, you're able to go through that storm kind of like Jesus on the boat, you know, sleeping, because you're accepted. You don't fight against, you could say, the flow of life. You know, you kind of like this whatever you want to call this, I don't know, sea, like probably a sea, but like, you know, the current coming, you kind of go with the current and you don't fight and strive against it. And that's when you get real results, whether it's like inner growth or even outward growth, is when you just let God do what God does in his timing, and you develop inwardly and you flow with God in a sense in your life. That's when you're in God's pace and not your own pace, and trying to kind of time things willfully in your plans and pace instead of God's plan and pace. Because God's pace and plan is better for you, because that way you can actually develop into what you need to be, because God knows what you're lacking in. God knows if you have problems with anything, with sins, lust, gluttony, diet, I don't know, whatever it is. You know, of course we all have scenarios sometimes we can't overcome, like, you know, it could be like maybe you just don't have money to have a good diet, you know, that could be a problem. Or maybe you just don't have access to food sometimes, that's good, you know. But like what I'm talking about here is like, you know, obvious sins and, you know, troubles that God is trying to kind of lead you away from. And, you know, that's where, you know, you can get to the point where God wants to take you, but you just need to be willing to submit and go with God's pace. Even if it feels slow sometimes, that slowness is there and delay is for your own good, and we only understand it later. And sometimes situations kind of are delayed, or we have to wait in certain situations, you know, that might feel annoying to you because, you know, we want to do things our own way sometimes, or our plans, or we feel impatient. And this is also sometimes God is just testing, as well as like building that stillness and peace within you to be in scenarios like maybe your flight gets delayed and you have to wait for like 3 hours, or maybe you just have to wait, or God is trying to teach you in situations to be in stillness and know that he's God, you know, like the word says, be in stillness and know that I am God. And you know, that's where God is kind of like trying to teach you, be in that stillness, be in peace in hard circumstances, and, you know, quiet your mind and heart for him and work from that place. And when you work from that place, you're able to overcome scenarios that are difficult, and even, you know, you're able to exercise that patience and stillness you learned and peace you have. And, you know, the peace doesn't really go away once you achieve it, that unshakable peace. You just have to come back to it, and the stillness by being still, in a sense, basically, before God. Or even, you know, if you sometimes don't feel God, he's never gone, you know, he's still there. And that peace you have is still there. You just have to find it again if you're lacking, you know. You just have to stop, you know. And God teaches you to stop and be in stillness and wait and be patient. But yeah, I hope this video kind of opens your eyes to God's pace and what he's trying to teach you on the way. And sometimes we have to learn this the hard way, and, you know, kind of almost be forced to learn this with God's orchestrations if you seek his guidance, is to understand that, you know, his pace is always better than our pace, because we can never learn stillness and quietness and peace if we don't just slow down with God or work on his pace, what he's trying to teach us, and seek that. There's always a way. See you in the next video.